The prominent writer Stephen King once wrote, if you want to be a writer, you must do two things. One is read a lot, the other is write a lot. Friends and my dear children, you must guess that what we are going to discuss today. Among the 4 skills of language, listening, speaking, reading and writing, today we are going to discuss about the most powerful skill of language, the most powerful weapon among the language skills, that is the writing skill. And first of all, I must tell one thing to you. I might have told you that from among the 4 language skills, speaking and writing, these 2 are the productive skills. We produce language. And it's a byproduct again, like speaking skill, how listening develops speaking skill. Similarly, here reading develops our writing skill. A good reader is a good writer. If you read more and more, then only you can write more and more. And I must tell to the parents and my dear friends, teacher friends, that before we go stressing on the writing skill in children, we must know it very well that from among these 4 skills of language, writing skill is the complex cognitive activity, and this is the spontaneous development of language skill. After a child knows listening, speaking, reading, then a child must go for a writing skill. It's the last skill of the 4 language skills. So we should not give more focus on writing skill in the beginning when a child develops the learning of language skills. And we must go to the how part of learning language skill, that is how can we develop our language skill. First is the alphabet, the letters. So where to write the small letter, where to write the capital letter, we must have the minimum knowledge of that. And second one is the handwriting. Handwriting reflects your personality. A good hand is always appreciated. And while writing the handwriting, we must focus on the different types of writing, cursive writing, or that is the normal writing. You have to develop this initially. That will be very much helpful to you in your future further life. And while writing words specifically, we have to focus on the spelling. And how can you develop the spelling? How can you spell well? If you read more and more. Because when you read the words and those are the images, they are printed in your brain. That's the train to your brain, and when you spell something wrong, immediately you will remember, no, this is the misspell. I am going to misspell this. You will remember that. So read more and more in order to have the limitation of your spelling error. And sometimes we think about the word power. What we write? We write words. We write sentences. Words are the integral part of the sentences. And sometimes we see that what is a word? Actually, a word has no meaning unless and until it is used in context, used in sentence. So focus on the usage of the word, not simply cramming the meaning of the word by hurting the meaning of the word, because the meaning of a word differs when the use of the word differs. And you may differ also with me that what is the role of margin for the students in the examination in the class. Usually we give margin, but I have heard one thing, that when Britishers were ruling us at that time, the officers, they thought that Indians cannot write, that is the lines, they cannot start in serially in a straight line. That's why they started holding one part. So it's up to you. If your lines begin with straight lines, I will never advise to you to give margin, but specifically to students, give margin. And here for the students writing in examination, remember, within that small margin, you have to give the numbers of the questions. And when you give your own number while writing the answers, suppose you are writing 5 points, you are giving A, B, C, D, E, they are your numbers, and give those numbers outside the margin on the paper, not within that margin. It's very important. At least the evaluator who is evaluating, giving you the marks, he should not be confused with those numbers. And another very important thing, the space management. How can you manage the space in between letter and letter, between one word with another word, and sentence and another sentence? Have a discipline. Give the same space between one letter to another letter, one word to another word, and one sentence to another sentence. That makes your writing very beautiful. And while writing also, punctuation marks. What are the punctuation marks? Now in grammar they are called the comma, full stop, colon mark, semicolon mark, single quotation mark, double quotation mark, exclamatory mark, question mark. Many such marks are there, and we have to learn where to give which punctuation mark. It's very important. And while talking about the vocabulary skill again, that is the use of the words, I must tell you one thing, my dear children, that always use the appropriate word in appropriate place or position. Otherwise, the meaning will be very much different. That is, the appropriateness of the words is very important, because a word has different definitions, a word has different meaning in different use. And because it's a long journey of learning the writing skill, so I must switch off my class today, and in part 2 we shall discuss some more points about the development of the writing skill, which is the very important skill not only for students but also for all category of learners or persons. So we shall close our class today by telling one thing, that if you want for inspiration to write, you are not a writer but you are a waiter. So don't wait for inspiration, write now. Thank you very much.
नमस्ते, ମୁଁ ପ୍ରକୃତି ପଟ୍ଟନାୟକ। ଯଦି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ମୋର ବାବାଙ୍କର ଭିଡ଼ିଓ ବଢ଼ିଆ ଲାଗିଲା ତ ସବସ୍କ୍ରାଇବ୍ କରିବେ, କମେଣ୍ଟ କରିବେ, ଲାଇକ୍ କରିବେ, ସେୟାର କରିବେ। ବାଏ, ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ।